Gwen Harper had traced the rise and fall of American pleasure parks in dissertations, coffee-stained field notebooks, and late-night interviews with retired ride operators who still smelled faintly of axle grease. Yet nothing in her academic life had prepared her for the sharp scent of scorched copper that hung over Ocean View Pier on the morning of the Coastal Carousel's centennial celebration. The Carousel, an ornate sea-themed machine built in 1923 by the eccentric Italian carver Ricciardo Bellini, was supposed to spin at noon for the first time in 15 years. Souvenir banners flapped from every lamppost, advertising 100 years of whimsy. Locals lined up early, clutching paper cones of saltwater taffy, while the brass band warmed up. Gwen had arrived to photograph final touch-ups and interview Sam Calder, the restoration specialist who'd spent 2 years coaxing the ride back to life. Instead, she was met by flashing red lights and the frantic chirp of police radios. A circle of uniformed officers barricaded the Carousel's platform. Inside the ring of sawhorses, Sam lay crumpled beside the brass ring dispenser, his coveralls charred at the chest. An EMT called out time of death, 9:07 a.m., while gulls screamed overhead, drowning the gasp that escaped Gwen's throat. Chief Danvers, a barrel-chested man who still wore a bicentennial mustache, spotted her and sighed. "Of all days, Harper." "I was scheduled to record a restoration interview," Gwen said, voice unsteady. "What happened?" "Looks like he grabbed the ring arm, got a full dose of current. We'll know more when the coroner finishes." Danvers folded his arms. "I'd appreciate it if you kept your historian's nose out of this one." Gwen offered a tight nod, though her mind was already whirring faster than any carousel gear. For Sam to be electrocuted, power had to be flowing through a brass mechanism never meant to carry electricity. Accidents happened, frayed wires, salt air corrosion, but Sam was meticulous. He wouldn't energize the ride while working alone, and he certainly wouldn't touch the dispenser without checking. She backed away, heart pounding, and nearly collided with Marisol Vance, Ocean View's deputy mayor and head of the Carousel Centennial Committee. Marisol's usual composure, silk scarf perfectly knotted, lipstick unblemished, was cracked by panic. "Please tell me this is some hideous misunderstanding," she whispered. Gwen shook her head. "Sam's gone." Marisol closed her eyes, inhaled, exhaled. 100 years, and today of all days. I have reporters, sponsors, and the State Historic Preservation Board arriving in hours. The city sunk every spare penny into reopening. If word spreads that the Carousel killed someone, Sam was killed. "That's different," Gwen said, surprising herself with the firmness in her voice. Marisol studied her. "You think foul play?" "I think Sam wouldn't have activated live voltage near the ring arm. If you want this celebration to proceed, we need answers before rumors spiral. Let me help." After a beat, Marisol nodded. "Fine. Officially, you're consulting historian. Unofficially, find whatever you can. Quickly." She pressed a visitor's badge into Gwen's palm before sweeping off to placate the gathering press. Gwen slipped under the police tape's loose end. The Carousel's platform, tiled in faded turquoise, felt colder than the sea breeze. Each mount, seahorse, mermaid, leaping dolphin, had been painstakingly repainted by Sam's team, their lacquered eyes now reflecting flashing siren lights. At the outer rim sat the brass ring arm, a gleaming curved rod designed to swing inward as the ride turned, letting riders stretch to snatch a ring. Traditionally, the reward was a free ride, but Sam had restored it anyway, calling it the soul of the machine. Now that soul had become a weapon. Gwen crouched, careful not to disturb evidence. The rag Sam used to polish the brass still draped across his glove. A faint burn mark etched the ring arm where his palm likely made contact. No exposed wires were visible, but the arm attached to a hollow column inside the ride's outer casing. If someone threaded live wiring through that column, the entire arm could be electrified. "Need you to step back," a voice said. Officer Lena Cruz approached with a respectful nod. Unlike Danvers, Lena had helped Gwen chase footnotes about the town's defunct roller coaster last winter. "I'm not touching anything," Gwen promised. "I just need to understand how current reached the brass." "Preliminary theory," Lena said, lowering her voice, "is that an auxiliary power line got crossed during renovation." She sounded unconvinced. "Mind if I borrow diagrams of the updated electrical system?" Lena hesitated. "They're on file in the Pier's maintenance office. Danvers will pitch a fit if he catches you poking around." "Then let's not get caught." Gwen managed a wan smile. Lena rolled her eyes but gestured for her to follow. Inside the maintenance office, plans were spread across a drafting table. Gwen traced the schematic with a fingertip. Incoming feed from the Pier's transformer, junction box beneath the ride, distribution circuits. The brass ring arm showed no connection to power. She scanned the revision notes. 2 weeks ago, an addendum called for installing hidden LED strips along the ride's outer panels. Marisol wanted nighttime illumination. A subcontractor named Atlantic Spark handled wiring. "Atlantic Spark," Gwen murmured. "Haven't heard of them." "Neither have I," Lena said. "They got the contract after bidding closed. Rushed job. If they spliced into the ring assembly for a ground path, live current could backfeed when power comes on." Gwen photographed the plans. But Sam would have noticed that during testing, unless someone altered it after inspection. A bang echoed distantly, perhaps a shutter slamming in the wind, but both women stiffened. "Go," Gwen said. "You need to be official. I'll keep digging." Lena left. Gwen folded the diagram, tucked it into her messenger bag, and headed toward Ricardo's workshop, the on-site restoration shed Sam used as an office. The door hung ajar. Inside, paint cans lined one wall, and the air smelled of linseed oil and marine varnish. Sam's desk overflowed with receipts, coffee mugs, and an old Bellini catalogue he'd borrowed from Gwen. Amid the clutter lay a coral pink envelope, out of place. It was addressed to Mr. Calder in looping calligraphy. Inside, a single brass ring, identical to those dispensed by the Carousel, was threaded on fishing line. Its edges were newly machined, too sharp for kids to pocket safely. On the backside, someone had etched the letters BK. Gwen's pulse quickened. BK, Bellini's signature monogram? No, his initials were RB. BK could be Brass King, the nickname the local newspaper gave the antique dealer Blake Kingsley, who'd publicly opposed the Carousel's reopening. Kingsley owned a shop across the street and claimed the crowds would block access to his store. But Kingsley was a blowhard, not an electrician. Gwen needed corroboration. She snapped photos and tucked the ring in an evidence bag from Sam's supply cabinet, just one more thing to deliver to Lena later. Before she left, she noticed Sam's laptop. Its screen still glowed. A drafting program was open to a 3D model of the brass ring mechanism. Gwen scrolled. The last file save occurred at 7:18 a.m., less than 2 hours before Sam died. Notes in the margin read, "Found unauthorized modifications, must revert. Meet me 9:30 to discuss." The note was addressed simply to G. G could be Gwen, though she had no meeting scheduled. It might also be George Parrish, the Pier's operations manager. Parrish once worked for a travelling carnival. Gwen knew he had wiring experience. Her phone buzzed. A text from Marisol. Press swarming. Ceremony postponed until further notice. Any progress? Gwen typed a quick reply. Working on it. Then she hurried to the pier's breakwater side, where Kingsley's shop, King's Gold Antiques, crouched between a salt shack and a surfboard rental hut. Kingsley was polishing a ship's clock when Gwen pushed open the door. The bell jingled with exaggerated cheer. "Miss Harper," he greeted, false warmth dripping. "Come to pick up your appraised Carousel figurines?" "Not today. I'm here about Sam Calder." Kingsley's smile faltered. "Terrible accident. The city should have contracted a professional." Sam was a professional, and he received this. She produced the photo of the sharpened brass ring. "Your nickname's on it." Kingsley examined the image, then laughed mirthlessly. "Little punks have been carving my initials into pier benches for years. Doesn't mean I electrocuted a man." "Where were you between 7 and 9 this morning?" "In my shop. Inventory shipment at 6:30. Delivery guys can confirm." He gestured toward a stack of crates labelled of Grand Rapids. "Look, I oppose the carousel because it'll fill the boardwalk with selfie sticks, not because I enjoy homicide. Do your homework, Miss Historian." Gwen left, no closer to answers. Outside, the wind carried briny mist. She spotted George Parrish striding toward the closed carousel, keyring jangling at his belt. She intercepted him. "George, you had electrical experience with Carnival Co. in the 80s, right?" He eyed her warily. "Why?" "Sam's notes imply someone tampered with wiring after inspection. Know anything about Atlantic Spark?" George scratched his grizzled beard. "Name's a front. Local labourer outfit run by Trevor Danvers, Chief's nephew. City gave them the job to keep costs down." The police chief's nephew? Gwen felt the puzzle pieces shift. Was Trevor here this morning? "Clocked in at 8. George frowned. "But I saw him leaving the machine shop at 9 sharp, looking spooked." Gwen thanked him and hurried toward the machine shop at the end of the pier. Inside, drill presses stood silent. A pungent smell of burnt insulation lingered. On a workbench lay a coil of neon orange wire, with scorch marks matching those on the ring arm. Footsteps echoed behind her. Trevor Danvers, mid-20s, baseball cap askew, froze when he saw her. "You're not supposed to be in here," he stammered. "Neither are live wires," Gwen replied. "Why is your company name on a rushed addendum that rewired the carousel?" Trevor's gaze darted toward the exit. Gwen blocked his path. "I didn't mean for anyone to get hurt." His voice cracked. I needed Sam to postpone the opening." "Why?" He found out. Trevor's shoulders slumped. "Chief told me this job would prove I'm not a screw-up, but the timeline was insane. The LED circuits kept tripping. Sam kept nagging me to redo grounding. I cut corners. Yesterday he said the wiring was unsafe, and this morning he planned to pull city inspectors. If the project got delayed, I'd be ruined." Tears welled. "I came early to adjust things so he'd think it was fixed. I didn't know the arm was energized. I swear." "Adjust or sabotage?" Gwen asked quietly. "I just rerouted a neutral line through the brass arms column. Temporary, I thought. When Sam turned on power to test the music organ, current must have backfed." Trevor sank onto a stool. "I didn't think the arm would be live with the motor off." He was ignorant, maybe negligent, but Gwen doubted he intended murder. Yet Sam was still dead, and a century of history threatened to die with him. Her phone rang. It was Officer Lena. "Harper, Chief wants everyone off the pier." He's shutting the Carousel indefinitely. Trevor Danvers just confessed to faulty wiring, Gwen said, watching Trevor flinch. He's here, and I can prove the brass arm was never meant to carry current. Silence, then Lena sighed. Stay put, I'm coming. When Lena arrived, she cuffed a trembling Trevor and read him his rights. Chief Danvers stormed in moments later, moustache bristling. He glared at Gwen. You satisfied? My nephew's life is over. He killed a man, Gwen said gently. But you can salvage the Carousel's legacy by being transparent. The public will learn the truth eventually. Danvers looked toward Trevor, who couldn't meet his eyes. The chief's shoulders sagged. Get him processed, Cruz. After they left, Gwen exhaled shakily. The case, however, still felt incomplete. Trevor's negligence explained the electrocution, but the sharpened brass ring and Sam's mysterious note remained. Back in Ricciardo's workshop, she reopened Sam's laptop. Another window lurked behind the engineering program, an email draft to Gwen, time-stamped 7:22 a.m. Subject, urgent, Bellini secret, Gwen. Found coded inscription inside center pole while routing wires last night. Looks like Bellini hid something in the ring assembly. Meet before opening. Don't tell City yet. Want proof. Sam Bellini secret? Gwen's graduate thesis argued that Ricciardo Bellini, after losing his fortune in 1924, hid rare coins inside select carousels for future heirs. Scholars dismissed it as legend. Gwen now clutched the sharpened ring. Maybe Sam discovered instructions to access the compartment, and someone else wanted that treasure. But Trevor wasn't scholarly enough to know Bellini lore. Who was? Blake Kingsley, antique dealer and documented Bellini fanatic. Gwen hurried to Atlantic House Hotel, where Kingsley kept a rented storage locker. The clerk recognized her, and believing she came on official business, provided the spare key. Inside the locker, among packed crates, sat a velvet-lined case labeled Bellini. She opened it to unveil dozens of brass rings, some ordinary, others filed razor-sharp. Beneath them lay a crowbar and electrician's gloves. A floorboard creaked. Gwen wheeled around. Kingsley stood in the doorway, blocking the light. Curiosity becomes you, Miss Harper, he said. Unfortunately, it also becomes fatal. He stepped forward, wielding the crowbar. Gwen backed up, heart hammering. You tampered with the ring arm after Trevor left, she accused. You electrified it deliberately. Trevor was a convenient patsy, Kingsley replied. I needed Sam out of the way. He deciphered Bellini's code, but wouldn't cooperate. His death ensures any discovery reverts to me, the man who'll preserve it properly. By cracking open a historic ride? Gwen risked a glance at the hallway behind him, empty. Bellini's legacy belongs to everyone, Kingsley sneered. Spare me the egalitarian drivel. Artifacts rot in museums. Private collectors cherish them. Gwen calculated distances. A fire extinguisher hung 2 feet left of Kingsley. She feigned a stumble, knocking a stack of crates to the right. As Kingsley's eyes flicked toward the noise, Gwen snatched the extinguisher from the wall and squeezed the trigger. A white blast of chemical powder blinded him. He swung the crowbar wildly, but she connected the canister with his shoulder. Kingsley crashed into a shelving unit, and brass rings clattered like coins. The hotel clerk, having heard the commotion, appeared behind him with a startled yelp. Gwen shouted for him to call police. Minutes later, Officer Lena arrived, cuffs in hand. Kingsley, dusted in extinguisher residue, glared daggers at Gwen while officers led him away. Inside his pocket, officers found a printed cipher key matching Bellini's workshop journal, stolen from the university archives last month. Another piece of the puzzle snapped into place. That evening, the pier sat quiet, cordoned off with yellow tape. Gwen stood alone on the carousel's wooden deck. LED strips glimmered softly, now properly rewired by a licensed crew Lena had summoned. Salt air brushed her cheeks as she placed Sam's favourite polishing rag across the leaping dolphin's saddle. Marisol approached, heels clicking. "Kingsley's arraignment is tomorrow," she said. "Media already dubbing you the Carousel sleuth. I owe you gratitude and apologies for doubting." Gwen managed a sad smile. "Sam deserves the credit. He found the secret. What will you do about it?" Gwen held up the sharpened ring Kingsley sent Sam, the ring that would have been the key. Bellini's code revealed a sliding panel in the ring arm's base. Inside, Gwen and Lena earlier retrieved a small tin box containing 8 1923 Liberty Head gold coins and a letter from Bellini dedicating the Carousel to the dreamers of Ocean View. The coins would be appraised and placed in a rotating display at the town museum. The letter would be read aloud during a rescheduled centennial ceremony, one that would also honor Sam. "I'll ensure Bellini's gift remains here," Gwen said. "Where Sam wanted it." Marisol nodded, tears glimmering. "And the Carousel? Once inspectors sign off and wiring safe, she spins again." Gwen stepped to the controls. "Want to give it a quiet test?" Marisol hesitated, then climbed aboard a silver seahorse. Gwen flipped the master breaker. The calliope sputtered to life, wheezing at first, then swelling into jaunty waltz. The platform eased into motion, mirrors catching twilight's last colours. Marisol laughed, eyes bright as a child's. Gwen watched the machine rotate, lights tracing circles in the dusk. The past kept turning, carrying stories of tragedy, greed, and wonder. Her job, no, her calling, was to stay in perpetual motion with it, chasing every clue until the music played true. She reached for the brass ring, cool and harmless in her hand, and slipped it into her pocket, a reminder of cycles unbroken and histories reclaimed. The coastal carousel glided around again, ready for its second century, while Gwen Harper prepared for whatever mysteries waited in the next turn of the ride.